that to have a human birth is actually a very precious event. They say precious human birth. So I think that's, that's something about this body is a treasure and something to be archived and nourished. And that's almost exactly what our talk is about today, is how to really treasure our resources. What are they? How do we save them? How do we spend them? How do we cultivate something very rich and true? And through that, there's almost like a purification that happens. That body then informs mind and consciousness and spirit. And then we act from that place, which then ripples out. So the experience is actually like being part of a family. That once you begin to be accountable for your health, for this body, and that's usually where we start, with feeling symptoms and experiencing how I'd like to feel better or how I don't feel well. But once we begin to have accountability of this body, we can remember that body touches mind and mind touches spirit. So really it's quite a significant act, quite a significant statement, and I think that's what we mean when we say where health meets consciousness, that to act in a healthy way and to act in a conscious way on your own behalf is quite a high act. And so I want to really welcome and acknowledge that place, and we're a family of people doing that, so welcome. In the treatment room, I would meet with a patient and we would find some kind of resonance where we were not so much doctor and patient, but just two human beings. And a kind of truth could be spoken about their condition. And it was almost like that is the platform of healing, where the human being opens just a little bit through a connectivity. And so that wasn't very scientific, and that's not anything you can do a clinical randomized trial about. And I didn't even almost understand it, except that that kind of resonance spoke to me as the platform for healing. That it's almost like when you create more internal space, your condition becomes more flexible. Your condition becomes more workable. And then that's a whole different place, that's a whole different movement. That's something where something can begin to move and shift and different expression can happen. So people come in with a kind of diagnosis. I have, infertility, which became really my specialty for a long time. I have infertility. A lab finding, like you have hypothyroidism because your lab value is like this. You get so boxed in by your diagnosis that you can't move beyond that, and that changes what becomes possible. And so that's really, I think we're talking about chi, and we're talking about what we call shen, or your spirit, and it's what happens between two human beings when you sort of begin to break down what stands between us, as if we're separate, when you start to feel the sameness, and then the energy can then start to move and shift in different, really miraculous ways. The sky's the limit.